Hey, how's it going?
Oh, hey. My day's not going so great, honestly. What about you?
I'm fine.
Oh, okay. Hello, servus, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Felicia, I'm from Munich, Germany, and currently I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. When I first came here, one of the most important things I had to learn was how to do small talk. Because as I've mentioned in my 3 differences video, Americans are very open and they love to do small talk. So when you see someone, the first thing you'll say to each other will usually be, "How are you?" or "How are you doing?" which literally translates to the German "Wie geht's dir?" But in Germany, we use this phrase a little bit differently. For us, this phrase does not replace a hello as it does here sometimes. And when you ask it someone, it means that you actually care about how that person is doing, even if they're not doing so great. So it's very likely that you'll get a detailed answer about how that person's life is going, and they might even complain to you a little bit. Like, "I'm okay, I guess. I just haven't gotten any sleep in the past few days because my exams are coming up next week. Plus, the heat in my apartment isn't working, so now I'm getting sick on top of that. Ugh." Here in America, that will be considered inappropriate, because "How are you?" is just a nice and positive phrase to greet people with and to lay the foundation for some more chit-chat if you're up for it. So you'll hear it from your friends, from your coworkers, fellow students, your waiter at the restaurant, the cashier at the store, just everywhere. And your answer should be something like, "I'm good, how are you?" or "I'm doing well, thanks," or "I'm fine, what about you?" Of course, you can add a little bit more to it if you want to, like, "I'm doing great, I'm really enjoying the sunny weather today." Or even more personal things, but they should be positive. You're not exactly supposed to tell people that you're in a bad mood, even if you are. So I think the most I've heard from someone was like, "I'm good, just a little sick," or like, "I'm good, it's just cold in here," and that was the most negative. So even if they feel miserable, Americans will always give you a positive answer to this question. And that's something that is very hard to learn and to adapt for someone like me, who grew up in this very honest, direct, and blunt German culture. So sometimes the small talk will be over after the "How are you?" thing and you will just keep going. But then in other cases, there's more to come, especially when it's someone that you know a little bit. And from a German view, this can actually get very personal, but on a more superficial level. Now, personal and superficial to a German might sound like 2 completely different things, because we usually don't really open up to people that we're not friends with. And then if we do share personal stories with someone, they won't be superficial, but actually truthful and deep. Americans, however, are just more friendly to a lot of people, and they open up to them way sooner in this like nice and positive kind of way. There's this metaphor that you learn at these intercultural trainings before you go abroad, and that is that Americans are like a peach and Germans are like a coconut. And I personally think that there's a lot of truth to it. So Americans are very soft on the outside, they're very friendly to new people, and they don't mind sharing personal information with them to a certain extent. But it's very hard to get to their core and to become true friends with them. Germans, on the other hand, have a hard shell, so they don't like to open up to people as quickly. But when they do, so when they're cracked open once, it usually means that you're real friends now and they will be very loyal. So in America, when you run into someone on the street, even if you have only met them once before, they will probably still chat with you a little bit. Maybe ask you what you're doing around here, or ask you about that big project you had mentioned last time, or whatever they know about you. And it won't be super awkward like these things are sometimes in Germany, where in the end, both of you are like, yeah, okay, I gotta go. Okay, have a nice day. I might see you at my friend's party, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Okay, bye. Americans just make this whole saying goodbye thing so much easier. They're just like, "See ya," and walk away. I also said that American small talk is superficial, and here's why. First of all, I don't think that everyone is always super interested in what you're telling them and thinks that everything you mention is amazing or awesome, as they say. They just make it seem like it is because, again, they're very polite and they want to make you feel good. To Germans, this might seem a little dishonest at first. And that's how I thought about it too in the beginning, but now I actually got used to it and I learned to appreciate this because it makes the small talk a lot more fun, makes it less awkward, and it gives you something positive for the day. But in other cases, this extreme politeness still confuses me sometimes, especially when it comes to making plans as part of the small talk. Because in my experience, Americans tend to make fake plans just to be nice. One typical example from the intercultural training is that a German family moves to the US and their American neighbors come over to welcome them, which is super nice obviously, and they all chat a little bit and they get along super well. So the Americans suggest that they should all get together for a barbecue sometime. So then the weeks pass by and the Germans go over someday and they're like, "Hey neighbors, summer's almost over. When do you want us to come over for the barbecue?" Even though the Americans only said this to be nice, and they now feel overwhelmed by the Germans that they invite themselves over. Classical miscommunication. And I experienced something similar myself. So I was walking on the street with my boyfriend who is American, and we ran into a friend of his. So they started talking, some small talk, and the friend said that he's throwing a party on Saturday and that we should come. So my boyfriend was like, "Yeah, sure, sounds great." And then they talked about some other stuff, and when the conversation was over, I asked my boyfriend, "Hey, did you forget that we had plans for Saturday?" And he was like, "Oh no, I didn't forget about that. I'm not going to the party. I was just trying to be nice." And I was quite shocked because a German would actually consider it way nicer to get an honest answer because they want to know who they can actually expect to come. So small talk in America is a big part of the everyday interaction with people, and it's way different than how we do it in Germany. I personally like that people are so friendly and that it's so easy to talk to them, but I still have trouble sometimes to figure out what they actually mean and what they just say to be nice. So as always, if you have any experiences or opinions on this whole small talk topic, please leave me a comment. Thanks for watching. I hope that you liked it. Feel free to subscribe my channel and I hope that I'll see you next week. Tschüss!